It might seem like a typical Generation Y story.
Hello! Look who it is.
A young couple moves from the big smoke of a large metropolis
It's so good to see you.
with all of its anonymity, congestion and exorbitant house prices in favour of a picturesque seaside town in search of freedom, real-life community and a place to build a home.
You must feel extremely lucky to live in a place like this, work in a place like this.
Yeah.
And embracing this change, my guests today not only continued their metropolitan careers, but also developed a local practice with magnetic pull to fresh clients and collaborations in their new environment.
As
Definitely.
a Melbourneian,
Yes.
you know good coffee.
I do love good coffee.
Right, let's go.
I'm Shim Matthew, and for the past 20 years, I've championed the freelancer economy. The company I founded in 2012 became the UK's largest platform for premium freelance talent and reached over $2 billion in freelancer bookings. Now I'm on a journey to discover why people all over the world are liberating themselves as independent professionals in pursuit of excellence in their craft and freedom in their lives. This is Freedom Unscripted with Katie and Noel Leeman.
Have you ever, have you met people that the baseline is happiness?
Well, apparently I am.
Yeah, no.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
You're probably the only person I know that the baseline is happiness.
I'm like literally like this. Like I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
Like a normal person.
Well, yeah.
I'm just like an emotional
You're
brick.
an empath versus you're a brick.
Yeah, I'm brick. Emotional brick.
How does a girl from Melbourne, St Kilda, one of the most beautiful places on earth, land in London?
When I was a senior graphic designer, eventually all of my friends who I went to uni with, they all just kept sending me postcards of everywhere they'd been all over Europe. And I was like, I'm just getting a bit sick of this now. And so one morning I woke up and I was like, I need to get out of here. And so I freelanced at KPMG, at Willis. I was in tax, I was in insurance, I was in theatre, I freelanced everywhere.
And that didn't scare you, that you just kind of went straight into it?
It scared me. And I was like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And Dad was like, because you need to, because you can do this. Yeah, and then I ended up at OMD. And then eventually my boss applied for us to have an internal design team, like to build one. And so this was like the first design team that I had input into building. So I've built 3 over the course of my career, so this was the first one. And because I'd freelanced so much, all the processes I'd learned from all the different places I'd been, we basically started like inputting them into them, into this like wireframe, I guess, of a business. And then we were looking for digital, and so Noel, my boss Laura, was like, we should get Noel. And I'm like, no, we can't have Noel because I'm dating Noel. And she was like, every day she asked me for 6 months. And we basically smashed it as soon as he was hired.
Well, you're the person that's been brought in because they don't have someone who knows how to do that thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're that guy, right?
100%.
And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
it's always been like wearing lots of hats. Like one minute you're doing graphic design, next minute you're like trying to code something, next minute you're like doing layout, next minute you're doing, I don't know, whatever, like, animation or something like, and then you start to think that all this is like, that's just one job, and that's like, you do all these things, and that's just the job. And then you go somewhere, in a bigger place, and you go, actually that's like 5 jobs. And like, just like going with the flow.
I realise now Noel and I are like, it's basically London is like spat out photographers and designers and like artists and they all seem to be here. And we're all working with them or chatting with them or we're on WhatsApp groups with them. And so it's like, we've got this like little creative hub now going where everyone helps each other out or, you know, if you need something, we'll lend stuff to each other.
Just a creative community.
Massively.
Creative community and just general community. It's like, it's weirdly easier to make friends.
Yeah.
If you meet someone, you're like, oh, human, you're like my busy buddy. I'm gonna latch onto you. And then, so there's less people, but you make deeper connections more quickly.
Yes, that's what it is.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you about in being a freelancer is how do you keep good mental health and well-being?
So mine is sea swimming. I've found that that's a really good way of sort of resetting myself, and there's no pressure, and I think that's a really good way for me to deal with stuff. Like even at some point Noel's like, I think you need to swim, and I'm like, I think I do.
Oh, wow.
Because he can notice if things are mounting up or getting too much for me.
Yeah. You need to get in the sea.
Yeah, I need to get in the sea. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like the sea takes what you don't need, all the extra stuff, all the stress. That's kind of, that's my interpretation of it. And
Yes, Noel, how does a constant optimist take care of his mental health and well-being?
I think it's about getting outside, getting
we might get run over.
A thing that I started doing since moving here, which is quite unlike me, was started playing five-a-side football. I'm really ambivalent or disinterested in football generally, but five-a-side football seems to have found a little place.
Yeah, you've never seemed like a guy that I would associate.
I'm such a jock generally.
Yeah. I think the concept of transparency is so powerful because a client can make an informed decision based on something that's very real, like you saying this is how long it's going to take, this is how much it's going to cost, and we're going to work together in creating something. I think that's very refreshing.
When we were talking about, like, when we were trying to work out what our offering was, you know, like, are we a niche, like what's our niche and all that kind of stuff, or marketing, all this jargon that, you know, we feel like we need to have sometimes. And actually we just wanted to get rid of all of the unnecessary stuff that clients have to deal with, you know, where they get confused and they're not quite sure. We don't want any of that. We just say exactly what's happening, how it's going to work, what the timings are, and the honest budget, that kind of thing, and be as clear as as possible so that they can make a decision.
Absolutely.
And everything is like out in the open, and that's the one thing we've managed to do with every single client, no matter what it is.
That's weirdly become one of our kind of like
it's really important
tenets,
to us.
I suppose. It's like it's just like it's kind of like pragmatic and like no nonsense.
Of course,
and friendly and nice to get along with.
Yeah. You're now working from home. How much of that also applies to your life? That demarcation of work time, home time, and anything else?
We do try and keep it clear. It's really, but it is tricky. It's always it's easy to go, well, we're just going to have to, just have to work late, just have to overrun this thing.
Right. Yeah.
Or conversely, it'd be like, we just need to like do the laundry. Just need to like do the dishes because you've got no time. It's like, but I'm kind of at work right now. So, and just making, trying to like carve out that time and being like, right, we're just doing work. This is work. We're not expecting anything around the house to change. Good. That was great.
Well, sometimes I'm like, I'll be right back. I've just got to go for a swim in the sea, and they're like, yep, fine.
Nice.
Because they know
Well,
now.
no, I love the fact that you tell them.
I tell everybody.
Because the last thing you want is for a client, to watch this film and then think, when you tell me you need to just pop out for a minute, you put me out for a swim in the sea.
Yeah, they totally know.
It's abundantly clear to me that positivity is an innate characteristic of both Noel and Katie, and that has fueled so much of their freelance careers. When they saw their own paths to freedom being constricted, they took the conscious steps to alter their trajectory, even when large areas weren't entirely mapped out. I think that takes real courage, and now a few years on from that decision, they are reaping the rewards for that courage. In lives that were otherwise inaccessible to them if they had simply remained on their old paths and accepted the status quo. Thanks for watching another episode of Freedom Unscripted.
One more. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.